Well, hey, greetings and welcome to this week's NGM Features. Rich Brun here from Next Gen Matters. Here's what we have going on. My interview this week is with an incredible 25-year veteran in student ministry, Cody Mummau. He's student pastor at City Church in Gastonia, North Carolina. We're taking this and we're mixing things up now. We're going to take these episodes and kind of make them smaller. I have 3 short segments with Cody, and we'll lay these out one segment per week for the next few weeks. Cody comes to us as, yes, a seasoned veteran who has a heart for unsafe students, who has a heart to disciple his own students, who is incredible at building his own team, and does citywide events. Hundreds and hundreds of students at these big citywide events. But that's not always Cody's story. You see, he started out being very unorganized. And that is what we're covering in these next 3 weeks. How to go from not really knowing what you're doing to truly getting a serious game plan.
Quite a while.
When did you and Jesus have that conversation? When were you saved?
When I was 18, big time snowstorm happened in Virginia, and I remember reading through the book of Job and got to about Job 38 and realized I got no excuses to be mad at God. And It's at that point that I turned my life over to Him, and within a week felt the call to ministry.
Man, and you've been doing it ever sinse.
That's
you got
true.
You got your degree in youth ministries, and
Yep.
you've been rocking and rolling ever since. So, what has been one of the greatest kind of joys for you being a student pastor?
For me, it's within longevity in ministry. It's being able to watch some of the kids that I've been able to have an influence in their life, for them to continue walking in the faith. And I've had a lot of young men, young women that have turned and gone into ministry themselves.
Yes.
And for me, it's just an overwhelming amount of joy to see that happen.
Man, that's great. That's so good. That's so good. So let's take it. You've been in ministry for how many years now?
24, 25 years, somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, 24, 25 years.
Man, that's incredible. I love it. I love it. So over the years, some things in ministry we've noticed come to us naturally.
Right.
Some of us are just communicators. That's how God made us. Some of us do well at the administration side. Some are extremely teddy bear relational. And you and I both know in pastoral work, we have to do well at many things. Administratively, did that come easy to you?
No, it didn't. When I was in first grade, I remember my elementary school principal told my mom, Cody's going to have a wife to help him remember things, because if his head wasn't screwed onto his shoulders, he'd probably leave it in the classroom before he went home. And so for me, no, administrative side of things, writing things down, keeping track of things, the preparation side of stuff, the less glamorous side of stuff never was something that came very naturally to me.
Really? So as you see people now doing ministry, some of the younger ones, what are some of the things you're seeing that you kind of like, oh, dude, don't do that. Don't go there.
Well, quite honestly, one of the things that I've seen lead to burnout in a lot of people is having such a great vision for ministry and reaching students with the gospel, but absolutely no plan on how to do it. And with all the forums that are out there, mostly, I read a lot on Facebook in some of the youth ministry forums. You and I were talking of the people that'll get on and say, hey, we've got a major event this weekend. We're looking at hundreds of kids coming in. What would you speak on if you had the opportunity to do it? And I'm like, that's like 3 days away. Or, we got an overnighter tomorrow night, a lock-in, not sure what kind of games to play, or what movie would you put? We're having a movie night this week. What movie would you show to middle schoolers? And for me, having been in ministry, I know that I did that. I mean, I'm surprised I survived all of that. But for me, it kind of shudders me a little bit to be on the week of such an event with such an opportunity, and there not to be really a plan in place for what you're going to do. It's just something that I've seen has led to a lot of frustration on the part of parents, church leadership, even really the students. The students can tell when an event is not really well planned and it feels like you're kind of winging it on the go. And then what happens is that we had this great idea for something, but we feel like nobody else caught our vision for it because nobody liked it, nobody showed up, they didn't know about it, and then we start putting the blame on other people. And I see a lot of people walk away from ministry because they felt nobody caught their vision when probably nobody ever even heard their vision.
Yeah, I said they never shared the vision.
Right.
And that's a huge component, is a shared vision.
Yeah.
So for you, it sounds like then you're reading these forums and are you thinking like, I used to be that guy or what?
Oh, without question. I mean, I was that guy. I started in student ministry before I had taken really any student ministry classes. And,
right.
And so I was trying to figure it out as I went, and really kind of became compartmentalized in we're doing our student ministry thing over here. And I didn't communicate a lot with the church leadership, and I didn't really know how to communicate to parents. And so here I am with some really great ideas, and 3 or 4 of the students knew about the idea. But what happens is it led to a lot of frustration because there were parents calling the church office asking about the event that was coming up, and we had church administration was going, we have no idea what you're talking about.
What event?
Which is a really bad look for the church as a whole,
right?
Because then that parent's kind of upset with the church office, like, you guys should know this stuff. And then I've got church leadership looking at me going, why didn't you tell us? We would have loved to have put it in the bulletin. We would have loved to have communicated it. And thankfully, I've had some very gracious people along the way do a lot of forgiving to me and a lot of instruction to where I began to recognize that. And then I did go back to school and learned, some of the importance of that. And so now, I look at some of these younger guys and I want to jump into their lives and say, man, you got a lot of work to do in order to really be communicating what you're wanting to communicate. But it's going to take more than a Facebook post and an Instagram post. This is something that this movie night that's happening this week that you're trying to figure out the plan for it really should have been thought out, 8 to 12 weeks ago, and a plan in place, communicating all of these things. But it's tough. I mean, because most of the people that are going to be listening to this are anywhere from a volunteer youth worker to a full-time youth worker. And so the ability to spend time doing that, it does vary widely.
Yeah. So what do you recommend for those listening who are maybe struggling with not just being big picture, but how to execute well the game plan? What do you do? Any some tricks and tips, I guess you'd say, or?
Yeah. For me.
So join us next week to hear what Cody has to say on what happened to get him to become organized.